love that song. The finishing touch. Figure it's the last of the month to do the finishing touch on the month. I was thinking about what started this out for me. Was watching my neighbor do their house remodel, and man, it just went fast. And they did one of those things where they tore the house down and left just one wall. And then suddenly it was framed, and then it was stuccoed and roofed, and it looked like it was done. And he hasn't moved in yet because of the finishing touches. It takes so long to do the little fine-tuning things that are necessary for stuff to happen in the world, for something to be actually lived in and expressed, right, and enjoyed. And I was thinking, whoa, that's kind of what happens sometimes with our treatment work. That's what happens with our manifestations and our demonstrations and our prayers. And we think, it just never got answered. Could be that Spirit is just putting its finishing touches on the final product, so when it's delivered to you, it's as comfy as your new home is going to be, you see? So that's where this sort of came from. And I thought we would explore that a little bit more and go back to what begins this all out for us. Where does the beginning happen? Now, in the terms of my neighbors, they realized that their house wasn't quite the right way for them, and they needed to fix it up and make it a little bit different. And that kind of the same thing that happens for many of us in our lives. Something's not working right. We're unhappy about a situation, or maybe we're feeling some fear around something, right? Or just things just aren't going right. The job's not right. We want a new home. The car's got too many dents in it, and we're just a little bit old. And every time you get in it, it's another bill. It feels like a white elephant car instead of a new car. So we think we want a better job, a new car. We want a nicer home. And we look for these outside solutions to get rid of the fear or the unhappiness or the fact that something's wrong or the disappointments in life. And it seems like this new thing is going to make that work for us. And as soon as we get the new thing, whoa, that didn't last long. The fear, the unhappiness, the disappointment comes back again. Because we were thinking, at least what's happened for me, my experience has been that sometimes the new thing just wasn't right. I mean, I went out, I wanted some, my dad said, hey, what do you want for your ordination birthday gift? I said, my headphones are not working. I'd love some brand new headphones. So he got me these new headphones. They're really great, but they're so good that when I'm wearing them in the house, Johanna can walk right up behind me and go, Stephen, because I can't hear a thing, They're too good. So I put them aside. That lasted like a week, Then I'm working on my iPod, my phone, and I'm trying to call people, and they can't hear me because, again, the cord is cracked. So I go to get a new cord, and then I realize they got these new buds, these super buds. They're just little thingies that hang out of your ears with no wires. And this is so great. So I get the new buds. They're almost as bad as the headphones. Johanna could walk up behind me with my earbuds on. I can't hear anything. Now, I don't know what that has to do with anything. Except it lets me know that I'm looking for something outside to solve something inside. What I really need to do is just concentrate more, pay more attention, and not feel like I have to be drowned out or drown out the world or be surrounded by entertainment all the time. Maybe that gap thing I talk about each week, maybe that's entertainment enough. Just to be in the silence, to be present to the situation that's at hand. Why is it that when I'm washing dishes, I have to have music on? Why can't I just enjoy washing the dishes and being in the present moment? And allow the internal thing to speak to me as opposed to the external thing. Why am I always looking out here to the ends where the grapes are hanging when all the information and all the knowledge and all the wisdom is coming from the source? It's coming from the vine. That's that thing, that biblical thing they talk about. Don't pay attention to the branches. Keep your eye on the vine. And Emily Cady, do you know what Emily Cady is? She was a teacher in Unity, and she taught a lot of the ministers, Emma Curtis Hopkins and all these kind of people they studied her stuff, and she studied their stuff, and Ernest Holmes studied some of her stuff as well. And one of the things she wrote was this book called Lessons in Truth. And she says, we need to take our eyes off the ends of the branches, off the results, and keep them centered on the vine. See, if I'm so busy trying to blot out the world and get new earbuds and get new headphones and all this other kind of stuff, maybe I'm thinking too much about the outside stuff and I'm not nourishing what's going on within me. I'm not touching the vine. And this does lead into what I'm talking about, the finishing touch. Because if I can get into the vine, if I can get into the source and understand where my source is, some of this disappointment, fear, unhappiness, some of the stuff I'm running from, some of the stuff on the outside that you might be running from too, you won't be running from. Because there's something within us that is already about the business of taking care of things, of getting to the true beginning of our life. Because see, what I've come to see is this need for stuff stems from this creative urge to express myself. We all desire to express ourselves. I mean, you know, Nikki's pop expresses himself with the skins, and Nikki with her voice, and me with my tangents and my socks. We all have our ways of expressing ourselves. You're waiting, aren't you? You're waiting, aren't you? Okay, they match. Let's see. Do they match the shirt? They do! But frequently what happens, I think, is all this outside stuff makes me think that that stuff's important, and I get separated from the source. I get separated from my union and my unity with the divine. See, I forget that my true supply is an inner supply. There's an inner substance always working. So I have this honey mandarin tree in my yard, and it makes the sweetest honey mandarins. I send them all over the country because they come out in late January, February. So I particularly love to send them to my brother and my dad because they're in Minnesota. How about this? I just picked this off the vine. They love me. But here's the deal. I harvest the whole tree. I send them out to our friends all over the country. And almost immediately what happens, the honey mandarins are gone. The tree is empty. But there's something happening from the source, you see, that's grabbing nutrients from the earth and pushing them up through the plant and coming out to the ends of the plant. And almost at the same time that I'm pulling, new buds are sprouting and new flowers are coming out. And that fresh, you guys, any of you got the citrus? Huh? Oh my God, is it just beautiful? Between the citrus and the jasmine this time of year and the honeysuckle, and it's just like, and I got the allergies too, and I just go up to them and then drop some Sudafed and do it again, It smells so good. But see, what's happening is it might be gone, but the new crop is coming up because there's this inner supply. The supply remains. The supply remains. So no matter what your fear or your disappointment, whatever your solution might be, the supply to that solution is always there available to you. See, there's this law of growth operating in the universe, and this law of growth is also the law of good. It's the law of God, and it operates within each every one of us. This same thing that's working for the oranges, for the mandarins, is working for you. But we need to remember that. See, Joel Goldsmith, he's like, zzz. His whole idea is God is it. Don't think about anything else. Just think about God and you'll get it all. And this is why he says this. Here's some of it. We'll talk more about it. He says, within you, within me, there is also a law in operation, a law of life. And our awareness of the presence of this law is our supply. Are aware of the presence of this law as we know and come to understand and embody and embrace the idea that there is this law of growth, this law of good, this law of God operating within us, coming from its source that is us, within us, always giving us the information. That's why I say go into the gap and listen to the wisdom, because the wisdom is there with you all the time, waiting to be released, waiting to come out, you see. And here's what Dr. Holmes says about this. He says, we plant and cultivate the ground, but we do not really grow the garden. Nature does this for us. What ground is he talking about? The ground of our being, the ground of our ideas, the ground of our consciousness. We plant that with ideas, with seeds of thought that we want. We cultivate that. By cultivating it, we concentrate about it, we treat on it, we meditate on it, we affirm the truth of our being around this. And then nature, this natural law within us, goes about bringing this good into our lives. This is the process that it works, but it only works When we recognize that Spirit already knows. When we're out there looking for these external solutions, there's something within us that already knows. And if we trust in that, it shows up in our life. It's so crazy how this happens, but it truly does. I've been doing a little Bible reading again. That Bible, that's an incredible book. I mean, you give me an idea in 15 minutes and I'll come up with a whole religion out of the Bible. Because there's so much in there. But you have to really dig deep and look for the nuggets and then break them down metaphysically, because the stories are so heavy. They're so deep. They're not just to be read on the first reading. Little things like, it's the Father's good pleasure to give us the kingdom. What is the kingdom? Well, if you back up a little bit earlier in that same part of Luke where he says it's the Father's good pleasure to give us the kingdom, he talks about the lilies that don't toil. And he talks about the seeds and the birds and not needing a nest, and how they're all taken care of by nature, because God the Father already knows our need. And the proof of already knowing our need is that everything we need is already happening out in the world. The money, the food, the job, the work that we have, the talents that we have, the home that we have, it's already there for us, you see. So our job then is to nurture it, is to plant the seed and to totally understand that the source is always giving us our good, and rely on that source and hold our source as our prime objective. And then we plant the seed, which is the idea that we want to bring forth in our life, and we plant that into the soil. And then the soil, the source, nurtures it and brings it up into our experience. But so frequently what we do when we're not receiving, when we're awaiting Spirit's finishing touch, we begin to doubt. We begin to limit. We begin to shrink down our expectations. Dr. Holmes talks about this. He says, do not limit this thing. Grow big inside. Get over the little thoughts, the little concepts, and comprehend more. When you're asking for something, right now, there's this beautiful little coupe Infinity that Johanna likes. I want to get it for her. But then I thought, or something better. And the next day, a Lamborghini drove by, and she goes, I really like that Lamborghini. I was like, whew, okay, comprehending more. I'm thinking bigger. We're going to grow, and we're all going to be driving the cars we want to drive. I'm not like this prosperity preacher that says everybody has to have big, rich things, but I am about a good idea. I am about the joy in life. And I don't think all this stuff is showing up in the world because we're not supposed to have it. But the thing is, if we're thinking we don't have it, why is that happening? I'm thinking maybe it's this. Maybe we're limiting. Maybe we're not thinking that we deserve it, but we do deserve it. One of the things I think about with these oranges, back to the mandarins for a minute, you take a mandarin and you cut it open and you look inside and you can count all the seeds in that mandarin. But you take one seed. Take one seed. You cannot count all the trees in that seed. Look at a seed and comprehend more. Look at your ideas and comprehend more. Expand your consciousness on a regular basis, and you will be amazed at the good that will fall into your life. Look, I just wanted to have better sound. I ended up with 2 sets of headphones. This is how this stuff works. As I said to John and Sherry earlier this week, this stuff really works. But we must remember, as Browning said, truth is within ourselves. There is an innermost center in all of us where the truth abides in fullness, and to know rather consists in opening a way whence the imprisoned splendor, a way in which the imprisoned splendor may escape that an effecting entry for a light supposed to be without. Hear it again. Truth is within ourselves. There is an innermost center in all of us where the truth abides in fullness, and to know rather consists in opening out a way whence the imprisoned splendor may escape that an effecting entry for a light supposed to be without. You see, this good that is in us is looking for a way out, but we're so busy looking to bring something in. It's not about that. We got it backwards. It's about letting the good out, not trying to bring it in. We've already got it. It's already within us. So our joy, Our journey is like we talked about last week. It's about having the faith of God, not the faith in God. Don't trust in it happening. Believe that it's of you. It's a part of you. And therefore it's going to happen because of that. And trust, here's an acronym for trust. The reliance upon Spirit thoroughly. The reliance upon Spirit totally. That's what trust is. Rely on it. Rest in it. And recognize it. And relax into it. The trust will allow you to relax and not stress and not work so hard. If your good's not coming to you, maybe you're working too hard. Because if you're working so hard, then Spirit's so busy, says, I'd love to give them their good, but they're busy. I don't have time. They're busy. If they give them a break, give me a break. Relax a little bit. It just shows up right there, you know? There's a St. Anthony of the desert, and he was kicking back one day at the oasis under a palm tree, just chilling. And this hunter had been walking across the desert in search of him because he wanted to get some messages from the Abba. And he figured that he would see St. Anthony would be deep in prayer and working with his monks and just busy doing the things that saints do, I guess. And so the hunter was very disappointed to find that St. Anthony was kicking back behind the palm tree like, and he says, whoa, what are you doing? You're just relaxing. St. Anthony looks at him and says, oh, you're a hunter? Hey, take an arrow out of your bow and fire it. Okay, take another one and fire it. Take another one and fire it. Take another one and fire it. And the hunter says, if I keep bending my bow, it'll break. St. Anthony said, exactly. If you don't relax, your bow will break. If you don't relax and trust in Spirit, your good won't come. It'll break. You'll break. You'll wear yourself out. You'll brown out. You'll burn out. But we don't need to do that. That's what trusting and knowing this principle that Dr. Holmes was talking about, this law of good, this principle that Joel Goldsmith was talking about, that we are one in the divine, that we have the faith of God because we are of God. And if we understand that, truly hold that truth, hold that idea, amazing things start to happen to us. But again, doubt. We've had a lifetime of doubting this stuff. And as a result, we get that bad data in. You know, computer programmers, you know this. Bad data in, bad results out. Bad thoughts in, bad thoughts out. Doubtful thoughts in, doubtful results. But if we go with firm, convicted thoughts, with a lot of faith and a lot of trust, we'll be surprised on the back end. See, Goldsmith again, he says, we must begin our days with the inner reminder of our true identity. See that? Begin your day. Wake up each day and affirm, I am one with the divine. And great things are happening to me today. I step into my good in every step I take. Write these affirmations for yourself. You'll find your own words. It might just be, yay, God, go. Whatever it is for you, that's your affirmation. Start your day with that reminder. And he goes further. We must identify ourselves as Spirit, as principle, as the law of life onto our affairs. Everything that we do is an expression of God. You see, if God is the only thing there is, if that's the infinity in which we live, everything we are doing is a God expression. God is being expressed by means of each and every one of us. I know there's a lot of God talk today, but that's what I'm feeling today. I'm feeling that we're kind of are missing the journey. We're missing the crux of all of this. We spend so much time in the specifics of what we want when the bigger thing that's happening is that we're living in this experience that is dying to create something good by means of us. And if we can open ourselves to feel that and to be a part of that, then it starts to happen naturally for us. And we're looking around going, wow, how did this happen? Maybe it's because I just felt one with everything. Like the trees, I could feel the wind and it felt good. The beach when I was walking, my toes are in the sand. I love the sunset. Just loving everything about your life. I even love the disappointments in my life because that gives me opportunities to try something new and to stretch the bounds of where I've ever been before. This is the joy, the journey brings to us. And this is how we get the finishing touches, by seeing ourselves as more alive, by knowing that we succeed. People who know they succeed are the ones who succeed. Do you know that you succeed? And if you think you haven't, go back and look at your life and look at the time that you already have. And if you've done it once, you can do it again. That's how succession works. And we allow Spirit to remember that for us. And then the other thing that's really important is to see our worth, see our value. You see? I believe I'm worth 2 sets of headphones. Thank you. I believe that we're worth a nice, fancy, fast car if my babe wants one. I particularly like my slow-moving Volkswagen Westphalia. We just wave, pass me by, it's okay. You know, that's all right. She can blaze the trail and I'll come up behind. Dr. Holmes had a very regular daily practice I read about recently, and I've started doing it myself. He would wake up every day. He would sit in his big chair, and he would think big thoughts. He would think about all the commerce in the world. When he would read the paper, he would look at how much value the stock market had. He would look at the amount of income that nations would build and the advances in science and technology. How big Facebook grows. Well, he didn't do that, but that's what I do with mine because I don't think he was around when Facebook started. But if we can think big and think about the hugeness of the world and then see ourselves as part of that experience, see, that's what he would do. He would encompass the world. He would see all the planes flying everywhere and think about the factories that were building all this stuff. And then here we are seeing that. If we can see that, we're a part of that. And then he would say that. He would say this very simple phrase. He would say, "That is true, and it is true for me." Think about it. Say it for you. That is true, and it is true for me. So when you see the stock market hitting 25,000 when it finally does that, that is true, and it is true for me. When you see your neighbor driving by in a brand new car, that is true, and it's true for me. When you think about, boy, I really love that house up on that hill. That house exists up on that hill. That is true. It is true for me. If you can see it as true in the world, it is true for you. And as you understand that you are a part of that and enlarge yourself into that and know that it's all coming from the same supply, back to the mandarins, it's all coming from that soil, building all those nutrients, you're a part of that. It'll come up through you and your blossoms will show up as these things that you're affirming as being true for you or something bigger. And this is how the finishing touch gets onto your life, by giving attention and intention and worth, having worth, believing that it is mine. Thank you, that's mine. Remember that one? Thank you, that's mine. You see, it wouldn't be existing in the world if we were not supposed to have a part of it. We wouldn't even notice it if we were not supposed to be a part of it. We already are a part of it. He also had these 4 steps that he would do to bring the finishing touch to life. As he would affirm his good, he would say, "It is in me now. I can use it. It takes my word and creates it. I see it in my life, the thing it has created." 4 very simple steps. And then you just sit back and wait for the finishing touch to arrive. Stay in awareness. Stay open and be ready to take the action that will bring your good into your life. And so it is. No, I'm not going to do that. All right, we'll try it one more time. Let's see if it works. Here we are. From seed to blossom, I have the belief, set the intention, stand in faith, while Spirit's touch finishes bringing forth my gaud. My gaud. Wow. Thank you, John. Bring me the prayer box, Big John. Oh, no. There we go. Beautiful. All righty. Are you feeling blessed today, my friends? Is there someone in your life that you would love to feel the sense of blessing that you are feeling right now? If there is, let's hear that person's name or hear the blessing that you'd like for them to receive right now. Bring it out into the room. Patricia. Bill, Wally, Colleen, Sherry. So in this moment, I'm feeling the divine presence fully here, as it is always here. But due to this thing called free will, we can drop the veil and feel ourselves separated, knowing that that's an illusion. But in this moment, we have lifted the veil and we are standing in union with the divine, in a conscious awareness that we are one with it all. So if we expanded our view of the world to include everything as part of our lives, and in doing so, there is a strength and a value and a joy and a peace and a satisfaction that comes with knowing that if it is true for me. So I take it now into my life, saying I, for each and every person in this room who's holding an idea in mind, I take it into my life. I accept it as my good, and I know it now. I see the results in life showing up as divine and perfect harmony, right relationship, perfect job, the excellent use of skills and talents and abilities, the resolution of all conflicts, an emergence of peace in the world, an end to violence, an end to slavery, and economic equality spreading across the planet that allows everyone to have all that they need and all that they desire. For there is truly enough in a world that is infinite, in a supply that is unlimited. And that is spirit. That is spirit's world. And spirit's world is our world. It is this world. So affirming this good for each and every one of us, and knowing that as we speak this truth with faith and confidence and stand in the trust of the all-giving Spirit, we allow this good to come forth because we do not stand in the way. We do not put up fences of doubt or despair. We say, yes, I accept. So with that attitude, I now release this prayer into the perfect law, which has already heard this intention and is about the business of bringing the finishing touch. And so it is. Mm-hmm.